I just want to ask you a few questions. Um, I'm trying to make a decision if I want to do multiple softwares or just pick a software. Did you guys enjoy learning three different softwares to decide which software you wanted to do your student project on? Or would you have rather said, oh, just use AutoCAD and we don't need to learn any other softwares? Do you have any input on that?
Um, David, I would definitely say it was a very good thing to have multiple options. Um, I hate to say it this way, but I found that like learning SolidWorks was not as intuitive as learning like CATIA. I know that those are softwares that are used in the industry, but just me personally, I found CATIA to be much more let's say interesting, or I guess more applicable to like real world scenarios, I would think.
Oh, okay. Does anybody else have any inputs? Well, so did you like learning the three different ones to make that decision?
Yes.
Okay. Well, anybody else have any input on that?
Um, I feel similar. Like I'm glad that I learned AutoCAD and Groundworks because then I was able to make an informed decision on what I wanted to, I don't know if master is the right word, but focus more on. And that's why I chose Katia.
Yeah, that's kind of why I like to give an intro to them. We don't do a whole lot with either one of them. I just like, hey, this is what these are, and then you can focus on making projects based on whichever software you felt most comfortable with. Anybody else got a comment on that?
It's always nice to have multiple options.
Okay. Anybody else? One way or another, does anybody out there think we should have just learned one software?
No.
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 Okay. All right. Okay. So the intention was to show you the infrastructure of a few softwares to get a chance to manipulate them, and the other intention was to learn to make 3D parts and two-dimensional parts. Do you feel like you covered that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Mm.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is a lot of because I took the 100 class and a lot of the AutoCAD was pretty much review, which was nice because it had been a minute, but uh, it
No.
was yeah, just
The
a lot of
intent the
review.
intent is to take 111 before AutoCAD.
Okay,
One of
I
the
just did it
reasons why
backwards.
I do that is I have AutoCAD, SolidWorks, and CATIA classes. So if you wanted to take more of just a particular class, then you know which one does what and which software you could go to.
That makes
So
sense.
in a perfect world, you would have done this 111 class with me and then said, oh, that's
Okay.
interesting. I like to do more AutoCAD or SolidWorks or
Okay,
whatever. Okay.
yeah, that makes more sense.
Um, I also wanted you to get an idea of how to create drawings. I was hoping that by the time you're done with the drawings, you understood orthographic views and an isometric view on a drawing, and that you would feel comfortable with the dimensions, and that you learned a little bit about the tolerancing. How did you guys feel about doing dimension drawings? Any comments for me on that?
I feel comfortable doing those types of drawings and accounting for uh, dimensions and built what's it called,
Was it a
building
learning process
tolerances.
for you to do the dimensionings, or was this stuff you already felt you know and didn't need to learn?
I think I had some idea of how that should work, but it was definitely good to have that fleshed out in a 3D model.
Okay. Anybody else got a comment or question for me on the dimensioning of drawings?
I do. I obviously learned everything from in this class. However, I did take machining last quarter, and so I had seen drawings, but I didn't really know what I was looking at, and I had a small grasp of tolerancing. So this class has helped me understand just looking at a drawing and reading it.
Oh, that's really great because that is the intent of this course.
Hmm.
The intent of this course is there's like a lot of machining people that are maybe coming or from other departments, composites, welding, but the idea is that you're not intimidated by looking and reading a drawing, and by making drawings, it helps you read and understand the blueprint better. So that's good to hear. I appreciate that input. Anybody else?
I thought it was cool because I kind of already knew about dimensioning, but learning how to do it using constraints and stuff was very useful.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Um,
Yeah, so having taken CAD many years ago and seeing the updates, and I like the the way that the dimensioning is presented now. It seems to be easier and clearer to read, and the layout.
okay, thanks, Dwayne. Thanks for the input. Anything else on that? I have another question on that same note. Do you think this was helpful for you if you were going to go out into your other fields? So I'm kind of asking people that are going out to machining or welders or composite people that might have to make this stuff. Do you feel like you're getting a comfort level with the drawings so that you could go out in production and be able to read blueprints more comfortably? No comments from you on that?
Forsyth wants to add a comment, but his isn't working here. Just talking to that.
Oh, I got it. All right, can you hear me now?
Yes.
There we are. Hey, Dave, I'm going into welding personally. So it's funny you bring this up. I was looking at various jobs on Indeed and looking around just the last couple of days for fun. Almost every job in welding, machining, one of the requirements they have is ability to read blueprints, ability to understand how drawings are made, how CAD systems work. And having zero experience coming into this class, I mean, and granted, I still got a lot to learn, but this class has been a huge help at setting me up for success in our field. I mean, I have no intention of spending my life in CAD drawings, being a designer of any sort, but this has been a lot of fun to learn this side of, this industry. So I think it's absolutely helpful for anyone that's going to machining, welding. I'm sure composites in any field that this Amtech offers. Learning the basics here, how parts are made, is critical. So I think it's been great for that.
All right, excellent. And Foresight, what the heck? You might not be working for anybody after your little invention's done. We are eagerly waiting to see your student project now.
That's the hope.
Okay. All right, thanks for that. All right, I want to ask you guys one last question. The student projects, did you find it helpful and interesting to learn? Would you have rather just done a final exam like many other departments would have done? Maybe not at Amtech, but like a lot of your math and English classes, they usually do like a 3-hour final exam and then you're off and done. So the advantage of the 3-hour exam, you would have been done in 3 hours, because when I look at your guys' student projects, I know you're putting in a lot more hours than a final exam would be. However, you might have put in a lot of hours also studying for the final exam. So I'd like to get your thoughts on me doing final exams versus doing a student project.
I definitely wouldn't have preferred a final exam. I'd much rather do a project.
Did you say wouldn't have?
Wouldn't have, yeah.
Okay, yes, okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Anybody else comments on the student project versus final exam?
I prefer
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
I think a student project is by far better than a final exam. This gives you the avenue for creativity to create that object that you've had on your mind for a while, and it's easier to do in CAD than it is hand drawing if you're terrible at hand drawing like I am. Plus, it gives you so many the visual of the object to be able to change it as you're designing it, so you can see the flaws of what you're doing. The opportunity for the different softwares is even better, because depending on the object, the software is usable or not usable. For instance, if I was using AutoCAD and drawing this, it would take a lot longer than it would if I had used than it when I used SolidWorks. I don't have an experience in CATIA to be able to do that, and I look forward to that. I think it's a great idea.
Thanks for your input,
Thank you.
Dwayne. Appreciate it.
No, I'd rather do a project.
Stormy,
Yeah, I definitely feel that doing a student project allows not only the student but also the teacher to properly evaluate the student's progress as well as knowledge in general. Sure, you're going to have people that blast ahead and get done with the course early, but you still want to make sure that the people that might not be as fast are still getting that full breadth of knowledge.
Okay, good inputs. Thank you.
Also, student projects can go right on a resume if they're, really cool.
Actually, that's my intent, because you can't take a final exam and put it on a resume. Once you're done with the final exam, where's that go? That's really of no help for you, right? And I find a lot of final exams, like you just say, oh, they got 88%. You don't even know which ones you missed. So you don't even know, you can't learn from what you missed because you don't even know what you missed. So that's exactly, again, why I like student projects. I've had many students use their projects to help them get jobs wherever they're going. So thanks for that input. Anybody else?
I think giving people ownership of their project sparks a lot more creativity than doing a canned assignment.
A canned demo, right? Exactly.
I also agree that student projects is so much more useful. You are not just repeating some steps, but you are figuring out which features you need to use. You're exploring different features, and you learn better this way. It just sticks better.
Thank you, Kate. Any other comments for me? Stormy, I think you were saying something.
Yeah, I just prefer the project. That
Okay.
actually gives you a chance to showcase, what you've learned in all these platforms. Although I couldn't do it at home with CATIA, which I have comments that are not suitable for public consumption on that. But hopefully we can get that all resolved before.
Yeah, hopefully we get CATIA going on your
before the
laptop so
fall.
you can do something.
Yeah, that would be great.
That's been a nightmare.
And coming from somebody that's sped along through the class, I actually have learned quite a bit watching everybody else's student project presentations and Dave's input on it.
Yeah, I actually think it's the most interesting part of the class, maybe because all the other stuff I've seen a million times and my brain gets numb looking at it. So I like looking at student projects, seeing something different, and I like to see the creativity side of what you guys what you're able to accomplish. I take a little pride in being able to assist in whatever way I did for you guys being able to make your project. So that being said, most instructors would tell me not to do something like this because when I was at Boeing, you never let a student do their own thing because what if it didn't work? You're not going to have the answers on how to fix stuff. So at Boeing, they only do canned demos that they know for sure will work in front of everybody. And they have it exactly typed out what to type in and when to type, what to click on. And like, that's all great, but I think it's more interesting for everyone if you're doing a student project and it keeps me learning. And then every class is different. You could take one class to another and you'll get a different experience, especially based on the student projects, because I only think of saying things based on what you're showing me on your student project. So whatever modifications I may have made, you won't see in another class because somebody else had pulled up different parts and I'm doing different things to their parts. All right, were there any other comments for the student projects versus final exams? Is there anybody here that would prefer the final exam? Okay, so I think I'm be sticking with student projects. Even though this is my intro class, I still thought it was more exciting to do a student project than doing a final exam. I've contemplated since it's like, well, this isn't really a class that they're making mastery of making things and stuff, but I still think it'd be more interesting than doing a final exam. And it always is exciting to watch how much people are able to do just on the little bit I've been able to show them. So, all right, that's
Plus,
Go ahead.
You have a big variety of what everybody's interested in. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think when you see other people's things, especially if you're going to carry on to another class, it might inspire you to do something different or
Mhm.
another project. All right, thanks guys for taking the time to go over that with me. I don't have any more lectures or anything. I'm just waiting for people to do their final student projects. If you got your student project step 5 submitted, you should have it graded at this time.